In this video, we'll look at how you edit one of our smart wall art mockups using Photoshop. Once you've unzipped the file that you've downloaded, you'll find that it contains just two items. The PSD, which is really what you've paid for, this is the file that contains the smart object. And then we've got a flattened version, the JPEG equivalent, which of course doesn't support any smart objects. And that's for anyone who doesn't have access to Photoshop or Photopea. The artwork that you see here I'll be using in this demonstration, and obviously you will use your own artwork instead of this. So we begin by opening the PSD file, and obviously because it's a Photoshop file it goes straight into Photoshop, and here you'll find the mockup, and you'll find a frame inside of which you're going to place your artwork. But the good news is that you can pick the frame up, move it around, or if you want to resize it, Control T, free transform, and then just drag the edges. And the simplest operation that you can do is to leave the frame as is and insert your artwork inside it. So let's open up our example artwork. You simply select all the pixels, copy, you can then close your artwork, and then you simply edit the smart object to place your artwork inside it. If you look in the layers panel, you'll see that we have the background, which is the mockup, and then we've got two items, which are two smart objects, thin frames and thick frames. Whichever one has been used will be visible, and the other one will be hidden. So let's say you're happy to use the one which has already been used. You simply double click to get inside the smart object, and when you double click, make sure you don't double click on the name, because that will edit the text, or to the right of the name, because that will simply bring up layer styles. Make sure you double click on the icon just here, and then that takes you inside the smart object. And again, if you want to change your mind, you can flip from landscape to portrait, but let's say that we're happy with landscape. So what we now have is a nested smart object, a smart object inside the original. And the purpose of this level is to let you choose between portrait and landscape. So if we wanted to flip from portrait to landscape, at this point we would simply flip the visibility. So again, let's say we're happy with landscape, we double click, and here we have the sizes, or to be more precise, the aspect ratios. So again, at this stage, if you didn't want the 3:2, which is currently selected, you would simply change the visibility and work with a different aspect ratio. So again, let's say that we're happy, it's 3:2, we go inside it, and this is the final level of nesting where you actually place your content. And the final thing you can do here, as well as placing your content, is to change the frame. So we've got a frame here called Wood 1. If you wanted to choose one of the other ones, let's say white for example, you would simply switch off Wood 1 and switch on white. So again, I'll go back to Wood 1, and you'll see at the very bottom of the pile, below or behind all of the frames, that's where you paste your content. So you simply make sure that layer is highlighted and paste in your content. And for this example, I've used low resolution artwork. In a lot of cases, you'll have high res artwork, so you will need to zoom out and resize. So a typical thing would be Control- to zoom out, Control T to transform, which is edit free transform, and then just grab the corners. If you hold down the Alt key, that will maintain the centering. So in this case, I'm having to make the artwork bigger. I would imagine when you do this, you'll have to make your artwork a lot smaller to fit into a small frame. Once that's resized, you press enter and you're done. So if we recap our steps, we started with the original mockup. We edited the smart object, and inside it we found another smart object which lets us change between portrait and landscape. We edited landscape, and inside that we find a series of other smart objects which allow you to have a certain aspect ratio. We went inside 3:2, And we then had the opportunity to change our frame and also to paste in and resize our artwork. So we just retrace our steps, we close the inner level, save our changes, close the second level, save our changes, close the first level, save our changes, and we're back with the mock-up, but we now have our content, our artwork, inside the frame.